When you speak, she's not just hearing your words, she's feeling the energy behind them. The truth is, attraction isn't built on how much you say, but on how your words make her feel about herself when she's around you. Most men talk to impress, but the ones who truly captivate speak to connect. And if you understand the power of certain phrases, you won't have to chase her because her mind will keep replaying your words long after you've walked away. There is a certain type of language that bypasses logic and speaks directly to the heart. These are words that hold emotional weight, words that make someone feel seen, valued, and understood on a level that transcends the surface. When you use emotional trigger words with the right intention, you are not just communicating, you are creating a memory. A woman may forget what you looked like in a certain moment, but she will never forget how your words made her feel. And the truth is, most men use language as a tool for transaction to get something, to push a conversation toward their own agenda. But the rare man, the man who truly captivates, uses language as a mirror to reflect the best and most authentic parts of her back to herself. The secret lies in understanding that women are naturally attuned to emotion. They are not just listening to the literal meaning of your words, they are picking up on the undertones, the pauses, the emphasis you place on certain phrases. When you say something that resonates emotionally, her brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, and other chemicals that anchor that moment in her memory. This is why a single sincere phrase can stay with her for years. It is not about poetic language or fancy lines, but about striking the right emotional chord that connects with her internal world. You could say something as simple as, I love the way you light up when you talk about what you love, and it becomes unforgettable because it links your voice to a positive emotional state in her mind. Emotional trigger words often revolve around three key themes: recognition, safety, and possibility. Recognition means you acknowledge her value in a way that feels deeply personal, not generic. It is the difference between saying, you're beautiful, and saying, there's a certain strength in your eyes that makes me think nothing could break you. Safety means using words that let her know she can be herself without judgment, that she does not need to hide her thoughts or emotions. Possibility means sparking a vision of the future or an idea that feels inspiring and expansive. These three elements work together to create a sense of connection that feels rare and irreplaceable. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional trigger words is that they do not have to be long or complex. In fact, the shorter and more precise they are, the stronger their impact. This is because the human mind clings to simplicity when it is emotionally charged. Think about how music works. Often, it's not the most complicated lyric that sticks in your head, but the simplest phrase that carries the most feeling. The same is true in human interaction. A phrase like, I feel at peace around you, or you inspire me, can linger in her mind far longer than an elaborate paragraph because it is concise enough to be remembered and meaningful enough to be replayed. The delivery of these words matters just as much as the words themselves. You could have the most perfect sentence in the world, but if you say it with tension in your voice or without genuine emotion, it falls flat. Tone, pacing, and eye contact can amplify or weaken the emotional resonance of your words. A slow, deliberate delivery tells her that you mean every syllable. A pause before the last few words adds weight and drama, making her mind focus on what you are about to say. Matching your energy to the emotion you are expressing ensures that she experiences your words as truth, not just performance. It is also essential to use emotional trigger words with authenticity. If they are used manipulatively or without genuine feeling, they lose their power and can even create mistrust. The goal is not to memorize lines, but to understand the deeper principles of why certain words work. When you are truly present in the moment and paying attention to her emotions, the right words will often come naturally. This is why emotional intelligence is the foundation of powerful communication. It allows you to sense the right time, tone, and phrasing for maximum impact. Emotional trigger words are not about impressing her. They are about imprinting yourself in her emotional memory. They create a feeling that she will associate with you long after the conversation is over, making you stand out in a world where most people only engage on a shallow level. When you learn to speak in a way that resonates with the heart, you stop chasing connection and start attracting it effortlessly. There is a fine line between making a woman feel valued and making her feel as if you have placed her on a pedestal so high that you lose your own balance. Validation without worship is the art of acknowledging her worth in a way that strengthens her attraction to you rather than diminishing it. Too often, men confuse constant praise with connection, believing that if they shower her with endless compliments, she will respond with affection. But in reality, excessive adoration can have the opposite effect. It removes the element of challenge, it signals desperation, and it tells her, without words, that you see her as above you rather than beside you. True validation is not about flooding her with attention. It is about selective recognition that feels earned, deliberate, and rooted in genuine respect. When you validate without worship, you are sending a powerful subconscious message. I see your value, but I also see my own. This balance is magnetic because it is rare. A woman wants to feel appreciated, but she also wants to feel that your attention carries weight, that you are not the type of man who gives it freely to anyone. If your compliments are handed out to every woman you meet, they lose their meaning. But if you are measured, intentional, and precise in the way you express appreciation, your words land with far greater impact. It is not about withholding for the sake of playing games. It is about making sure that when you give, it matters. The key lies in being specific rather than generic. A vague, "you're gorgeous" is nice, but it is something she has likely heard countless times before. It does not separate you from the crowd. Instead, focus on something unique to her, something she may not even have noticed about herself. Saying, "You have a way of making people feel comfortable in their own skin," or "I admire how focused you are when you set your mind on something," touches a deeper part of her identity. It shows that you are paying attention to more than her surface, that your validation comes from observation and understanding rather than empty flattery. This kind of recognition sticks in her mind because it feels personal, and personal is always more powerful than generic. Validation without worship also means keeping your own standards intact. You are not afraid to appreciate her strengths, but you are also not afraid to hold her accountable when necessary. A man who blindly agrees with everything she says or does is not seen as supportive. He is seen as spineless. Women respect men who can admire them while still standing firm in their own values and boundaries. This balance creates respect alongside attraction. It communicates that while you value her, you are not bending your entire world around her approval, and that makes your attention more meaningful. Another aspect is timing. Validation is most powerful when it is not predictable. If you compliment her every time you see her, it becomes routine and loses its emotional punch. But if your appreciation is given at moments when she least expects it, after she accomplishes something, after she shares something vulnerable, or when you notice an effort she has made, it feels sincere and impactful. The unpredictability makes her value your words even more because she understands they are not automatic, but earned. It keeps the connection fresh, dynamic, and charged with curiosity about what you will say next. Equally important is the way you deliver validation. Your tone, your body language, and your presence when you say, it all contribute to how it is received. Eye contact, a pause before speaking, a slight smile. These small details can turn a simple sentence into a lasting emotional imprint. Women remember not just the words you say, but the way those words made them feel in the moment. If your validation is paired with authenticity in your demeanor, it will resonate on a deeper level. At its core, validation without worship is about balance. It is the middle ground between neglect and overindulgence. It is telling her she is valuable without making her feel like you are beneath her. It is seeing her as an equal partner, not a flawless goddess to be served. When a woman feels that you recognize her worth while still maintaining your own, she feels both safe and intrigued in your presence. That combination is what makes your words and your energy linger in her mind long after the conversation ends. Safety and trust in communication are not created by accident. They are built intentionally through the way you speak, the energy you carry, and the emotional space you create for someone. For a woman, feeling safe is the foundation upon which attraction can grow. Without it, even the most charming words or impressive gestures will feel hollow. Safety in language means she can express herself without fear of judgment, criticism, or rejection. It means she can be vulnerable without worrying that you will use her openness against her later. Trust is not built in grand moments. It is built in subtle, consistent interactions where your words consistently align with your actions. The first layer of safety comes from tone. Your voice has the power to either soothe or unsettle, to either invite openness or shut it down. A calm, steady tone tells her that you are in control of yourself, that you are not easily shaken by emotion, and that you will not overreact to what she says. This kind of emotional stability is deeply attractive because it allows her to relax into the conversation. When you are grounded in your delivery, she feels that there is space for her to share what is real rather than what she thinks you want to hear. Another key element is your choice of words. Safety language avoids unnecessary harshness, sarcasm that cuts too deep, or jokes that undermine her sense of self. It does not mean you must filter every word to avoid offense, but rather that you are intentional in choosing words that build rather than break. Phrases like, I understand why you'd feel that way, or that makes sense, signal that you are listening without dismissing her perspective. Even if you do not agree with her, showing that you respect her viewpoint fosters trust. Trust does not require constant agreement. It requires the knowledge that differences will be handled with respect and maturity. Trust language also includes reassurance, but not the hollow, exaggerated kind. It is not about saying everything will be fine without meaning it. It is about offering grounded statements that acknowledge her feelings while providing stability. For example, if she expresses doubt or fear, you might say, I hear you, and I'm here to figure this out with you. This creates a sense of partnership and support, which makes her feel less alone in whatever she is experiencing. Reassurance in this form is powerful because it is rooted in presence rather than empty promises. Listening is also a vital part of safety and trust language. Most people listen to reply rather than to understand, but safety is created when you listen with the intent to truly absorb what is being said. This means not interrupting, not rushing to fix, and not making the conversation about yourself too soon. When she sees that her words have your full attention, it sends the message that her inner world matters to you. And when she feels that you understand her without her having to explain every detail, trust begins to deepen naturally. The absence of judgment is another cornerstone. Women often withhold parts of themselves because they fear those parts will be criticized or misunderstood. When you speak in a way that communicates acceptance, even for things you may not fully agree with, you allow her to show you the unfiltered version of herself. This is where real connection happens. Saying things like, I appreciate you telling me that, after she shares something difficult, signals that her openness is valued rather than punished. Over time, this builds a safe container where she knows she can bring her whole self without fear. The beauty of future oriented vision is that it creates a sense of progression. Relationships, whether new or established, thrive on movement and the sense that there is something to look forward to. If all your conversations are locked in the present moment or stuck in the past, there is no forward energy. But when you casually weave future scenarios into your dialogue, you create momentum. This forward pull makes her more invested because people are naturally drawn to stories that continue to unfold. She begins to anticipate the next chapter, and in doing so, she emotionally invests in seeing it happen. It is important to keep these visions light, playful, and flexible, especially in the early stages. Overly specific or intense future talk too soon can feel like pressure. Instead of locking into rigid plans, use language that sparks curiosity and leaves space for imagination. Phrases like, imagine if we, or it would be so fun if, work beautifully because they are suggestive without being binding. They create the frame without forcing the painting. This allows her to join in creatively, adding her own thoughts and ideas to the vision, which strengthens her sense of co-ownership in the imagined future. Descriptive detail is your ally here. The more sensory elements you can add to a vision, the more real it feels in her mind. Instead of saying, when we should travel together, you could say, I can already see us sitting at a little cafe in Italy with the smell of fresh bread in the air and music playing in the distance. This kind of detail activates her imagination, allowing her to not just think about it, but feel it. And when she feels something deeply, it leaves a lasting emotional imprint connected to you. Future oriented vision also works beyond the romantic or adventurous scenarios. It can be woven into discussions about values, goals, and growth, talking about the kind of life you want to build, the type of people you want to surround yourself with, or the personal milestones you are aiming for, communicates that you are a man with direction. When you speak with conviction about your future, it becomes natural for her to consider how she might fit into that picture. This is especially attractive because it signals leadership, stability, and purpose, qualities that women instinctively respond to. The subtlety of this technique lies in balance. You do not need to constantly paint elaborate futures in every conversation. In fact, overuse can dilute its impact. The goal is to sprinkle these visions in at moments when the emotional connection is already flowing, so they feel like a natural extension of the moment rather than a planned tactic. When done with authenticity, future oriented vision plants seeds that grow quietly in her mind, shaping how she sees you, not just as someone in her present, but as someone she can imagine in her future. Genuine curiosity is one of the most magnetic traits you can bring into any interaction. It is the difference between a conversation that feels transactional and one that feels deeply personal. When you approach a woman with authentic interest in her thoughts, experiences, and emotions, you immediately separate yourself from the majority who only engage on a surface level. Genuine curiosity is not about collecting information. It is about creating a space where she feels truly seen and understood. It is about asking questions because you care about the answers, not because you are trying to impress or follow a script. People can sense the difference instantly, and women, with their heightened emotional intuition, are especially sensitive to whether your interest is sincere or performative. The heart of genuine curiosity lies in listening without the intent to control where the conversation goes. Too many people ask questions with an agenda. They are either steering the topic toward themselves or fishing for an opportunity to give their own opinion. True curiosity means allowing the dialogue to flow naturally, following her responses like a trail of breadcrumbs into the deeper layers of who she is. When she tells you about something she loves, instead of immediately sharing your own related story, you lean in and ask, "What is it about that that excites you?" Or, "How did you get into that?" These kinds of questions open doors for her to share not just the facts, but the emotions and personal meaning behind them. A powerful aspect of genuine curiosity is that it makes her feel valued without you having to constantly flatter her. Compliments can make someone feel good in the moment, but curiosity makes them feel important in a lasting way. When you show interest in her inner world, her dreams, her challenges, her perspective, you send a silent message. You matter enough for me to want to understand you. That message touches something far deeper than physical attraction. It speaks to her need for connection, and when that need is met, she will naturally feel drawn toward you. Genuine curiosity also involves noticing what is not said. Sometimes the most telling parts of a story are in the pauses, the slight changes in tone, or the way her body shifts when a certain topic comes up. If you pick up on these subtleties and gently explore them without prying, you communicate a level of attentiveness that is rare. Saying something like, "I noticed you hesitated before answering. What were you thinking?" can lead to powerful moments of openness because it shows that you are truly paying attention to her beyond the surface level of her words. The key to making this work is presence. You cannot fake genuine curiosity if your mind is distracted, if you are checking your phone, or if you are mentally rehearsing your next line. Real engagement requires that you be fully in the moment with her, giving her your undivided attention. Presence is felt through eye contact, through leaning slightly forward when she speaks, through subtle nods that let her know you are following her train of thought. When you are fully present, even simple questions carry weight because they are infused with your focused energy. Another element is openness to her perspective, even when it differs from yours. If she feels that your curiosity is conditional, that you are only interested in hearing what aligns with your own beliefs, she will hold back. But if you respond to differences with intrigue rather than defensiveness, saying things like, "That's interesting. Tell me more about why you see it that way," you create a safe space for honest dialogue. This deepens trust and makes her more likely to reveal thoughts and feelings she does not share with just anyone. The beauty of genuine curiosity is that it transforms conversations from an exchange of words into a shared exploration. It shifts the dynamic from performance to connection, from seeking to impress to seeking to understand. And in a world where most people are more focused on being heard than on hearing others, this simple shift in focus becomes magnetic. When she feels that you are truly interested in her, not just her appearance or her approval, she experiences a sense of recognition that is rare and addictive. That recognition becomes the quiet thread that pulls her back toward you again and again. Empowered compliments are more than just words of admiration. They are reflections of how deeply you observe and understand someone. Unlike generic flattery, which often focuses solely on appearance and fades quickly in memory, empowered compliments touch a person's character, abilities, and essence. They acknowledge qualities that cannot be bought, replicated, or easily replaced. When you give a compliment in this way, you are not just praising, you are affirming a truth about them that perhaps even they haven't fully recognized. This type of recognition is powerful because it speaks to a person's deeper identity rather than their external presentation. A woman may appreciate being told she is beautiful, but when you tell her, I admire the way you handle challenges with so much grace, you are validating something more permanent than looks, something she has earned through her own life experiences. The strength of empowered compliments lies in their specificity. General praise like you're smart or you're kind can be nice to hear, but it lacks the emotional weight that comes from identifying unique details. When you say, I respect how you stand up for what you believe in, even when it's not easy, you are showing that you see her courage in action. Or when you tell her, you have a calming presence that makes people feel safe around you, you are acknowledging a gift she may not even consciously realize she has. Specificity makes the compliment feel personal and credible, and that credibility makes it resonate on a deeper emotional level. Another essential element is delivery. The way you express an empowered compliment can amplify or diminish its impact. Rushing through it or saying it with a distracted tone can make it feel like an afterthought. But when you pause, make eye contact, and let your words land, the moment becomes memorable. Compliments are most powerful when they are offered in a way that allows the other person to truly receive them. This means speaking with sincerity without trying to oversell the message or seeking immediate validation in return. The less you try to impress with the compliment, the more genuine it feels. Empowered compliments also differ from superficial praise in that they contribute to someone's self-worth instead of merely feeding their ego. When a compliment only reinforces external beauty, it can sometimes create dependency on that external validation. But when a compliment reinforces internal strengths, it nurtures confidence from the inside out. For example, telling a woman, I love how you always make people feel heard, affirms a behavior that reflects empathy, patience, and presence, qualities that she can continue to embody regardless of how she looks or what circumstances change around her. In this way, empowered compliments help build a foundation of self-assurance that lasts. Timing is another factor that makes empowered compliments effective. Offering them at moments when they are least expected can have a profound effect. Complimenting someone's resilience after they've been through a tough situation or their creativity after they've shared an idea shows that your praise is rooted in real observation rather than habit. These well-timed acknowledgements carry more meaning because they are tied to specific actions or moments, making them feel earned rather than automatic. It is also important to balance the frequency of your compliments. Overusing them, even if they are empowering, can dilute their power. When praise is constant, it risks becoming background noise, something the other person no longer registers with the same appreciation. But when you use empowered compliments selectively, they stand out and hold value. They become rare gems in the conversation, and rarity makes them more treasured. This balance also reinforces that your validation is intentional, not given out carelessly or without thought. Ultimately, empowered compliments are about depth, sincerity, and recognition. They are about seeing beyond what is obvious and speaking to the parts of a person that matter most. When you can express admiration for someone's character, strengths, and essence, you create a connection that goes beyond fleeting attraction. You become someone whose words carry weight because they are rooted in genuine perception, and that kind of connection is both rare and unforgettable. Scarcity in words is not about being cold, distant, or withholding for the sake of playing games. It is about understanding the value of restraint in communication. In a world where most people talk endlessly without filtering their thoughts, the person who speaks less but with intention immediately stands out. When your words are selective and purposeful, they carry a weight that constant chatter can never achieve. This principle works because human beings naturally assign greater value to what is rare. If something is abundant and always available, it often gets taken for granted. But when it appears only at certain moments and in meaningful ways, it captures attention and leaves a lasting impression. The same is true for language and attraction. The less you speak, the more space you create for your words to matter. One of the most powerful effects of scarcity in words is the creation of curiosity. When you are not constantly filling every silence, you give the other person's mind room to wonder what you are thinking and to anticipate what you will say next. This anticipation is magnetic because it engages the imagination. If you speak endlessly, there is no mystery left for her to explore. But if you leave space, your presence becomes intriguing. She starts paying closer attention when you do choose to speak, because she knows you only say something when it's worth saying. This dynamic flips the usual pattern where men try to win attention through volume and instead positions you as someone whose words naturally draw focus without effort. Scarcity in words also helps you avoid overexposure. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, your entire life story, every opinion you hold, you remove the sense of discovery that fuels attraction. Attraction thrives on gradual revelation, on peeling back layers over time rather than dumping everything at once. By speaking selectively, you allow her to learn about you piece by piece, creating a sense of progression in your connection. This slow unveiling keeps the interaction exciting because she never quite feels like she has figured you out entirely. And it is in that space of not knowing everything that intrigue lives. Another dimension of scarcity is the power of silence. Silence can be uncomfortable for some, but for those who understand its value, it becomes a tool. A well timed pause can make your words more impactful, giving them room to sink in before you move on. Silence also communicates composure. It shows that you are comfortable in your own presence and do not feel the need to fill space just to ease tension. This calmness is attractive because it signals emotional stability and self assurance. It suggests that you are not desperate for approval, that you are content to let moments breathe and unfold naturally when you do speak. The scarcity principle demands that your words be intentional. This means avoiding empty filler and instead choosing statements that are meaningful, insightful, or emotionally resonant. It does not mean every sentence must be profound, but it does mean you should be aware of the impact your words will have. If you are known for speaking with thoughtfulness and precision, people will listen more closely when you talk. Your opinions will carry more influence simply because they are not overused. This is how leaders, storytellers, and influential personalities command attention. They do not overwhelm with quantity, they engage with quality. Scarcity in words also reinforces your value in subtle ways. If you are not constantly available to talk, if you are not the one always initiating conversation or flooding her with messages, your attention becomes something she earns. This dynamic creates a quiet sense of challenge and respect. She begins to recognize that when you give her your focus, it means something. This is not about playing hard to get in a manipulative sense, but about showing that your time and energy are precious resources. When she experiences your words as rare and meaningful, she will naturally seek them out more often. In essence, scarcity in words is about replacing the need to constantly prove yourself with the confidence to let your presence and select statements speak for you. It is about trusting that your silence can be just as powerful as your voice, and that sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is say less while meaning more. If you say this, no woman will resist. Relationship psychology, attraction tips for men, masculine energy, dating advice for men, emotional connection, communication skills, relationship tips, female psychology, how to talk to women, build attraction, seduction tips, confidence in dating, male self improvement, relationship dynamics, high value man, conversation skills, dating mastery, understanding women, romantic attraction.